I stared at my phone while the screen kept glowing inside my darkroom. Emma's post sat there like a knife pressed against my chest. Jason Reed stood beside her with his arm around her waist while she smiled harder than I had ever seen before. The caption under the photo was short, finally official. I read it again, then again. My hand started shaking. Noah called me almost immediately. "Bro, did you see it?" "I saw it." "Damn." I laughed quietly, even though nothing felt funny. "You sound more hurt than me." "Because everyone thought you two were already together." Apparently, everyone was wrong. Noah stayed silent for a second. "Did she ever mention Jason?" "Not seriously." "That is messed up." I leaned back against my bed and closed my eyes. Just yesterday, Emma spent 3 hours on video call with me, helping me study for finals. She laughed at my stupid jokes. She told me I was the only person who understood her stress. Now she was officially dating someone else. I opened the comments under her post. Hundreds of people were celebrating them already. Perfect couple. Campus king and queen. Finally, every word made me feel smaller. Noah sighed. "You need distance." "I am fine." "No, you are not." I said I am fine. "You sound dead inside." I rubbed my face slowly. "Maybe I deserve it for being stupid." "You are not stupid." "She treated you like a boyfriend without the label." His words hurt because they were true. Emma and I talked every morning before class. We ate lunch together almost every day. When she got sick, I stayed awake all night texting her because she said she could not sleep alone. I thought those things meant something. Apparently, they did not. The next morning, I walked into campus feeling exhausted. I barely slept 2 hours. Every hallway felt louder than usual. Students kept talking about Emma and Jason. Then I saw her near the library. She smiled immediately. "Hey, stranger." Stranger. Like she had not destroyed me 12 hours earlier. "Hey." She stepped closer. "You disappeared last night." "I was busy." "Busy doing what?" "Try not to look at my phone." Her smile faded slightly. "Oh." For a second, I thought she might apologize. She did not. Instead, she adjusted the strap on her bag and said, "Jason, and I wanted to keep things private at first." I stared at her. Private for me? It was complicated. No, it really was not. Emma crossed her arms. "Why are you acting like this?" I almost laughed again. "Acting like what?" "Cold." I looked around the crowded hallway. "You started dating someone without even warning me. We were not together." The words hit harder than I expected. I nodded slowly. "Right. We were not together." She looked frustrated now. "I did not think you would react like this." "How exactly should I react?" "I do not know." Normally, before I could answer, someone wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "Jason." He looked at me with a confident grin. "Yo, man." I forced myself not to look angry. "Hey." Jason kissed Emma's forehead right in front of me. "Ready for lunch, babe?" "Babe." Emma glanced at me awkwardly. "Yeah." Jason noticed the tension immediately. "Everything cool here?" "Perfectly cool." He smirked slightly. "Good." I hated that smirk instantly. Emma hesitated before leaving. "I will text you later, okay?" I watched her walk away beside him. Then I skipped my next class and sat alone outside the gym for almost an hour. Noah eventually found me there. "You look terrible." "Thanks." "I mean it." I stared at the ground. She asked why I was acting cold. He blinked. "Seriously?" Like I ruined her day, somehow. Noah sat beside me. "Listen carefully. If you keep staying close to her, you are going to destroy yourself." "I know. You need space." "I know." "Then actually do it." I stayed quiet. 3 days later, I was working my shift at the bookstore cafe when Lily Carter walked up to the counter. She smiled brightly. "You look emotionally damaged." I snorted. "That obvious?" "Painfully obvious." Lily worked at the clothing store across the street. We talked sometimes during breaks, but never outside work. She leaned against the counter. "Come eat dinner with me Saturday." I raised an eyebrow. "Is this pity?" "Maybe a little." I should probably say no, but you will say yes. I looked at her for a moment. Lily always spoke with this calm confidence that made arguing pointless. Finally, I sighed. "Fine. Dinner. Great. Where's something decent?" Saturday arrived faster than expected. Lily chose a small restaurant downtown with soft music and warm lights. For the first time all week, I actually felt relaxed. Then the front door opened. Emma walked inside, and the second her eyes landed on me, her expression changed completely. She froze near the entrance while Jason stood beside her holding her hand. Lily noticed my expression immediately. You know them? Yeah. Emma walked toward our table slowly. What is this? I frowned. Dinner. Her eyes moved to Lily. With her. Lily leaned back calmly. That is usually how dinner works. Jason looked confused. Wait. You two hang out now. I looked at Emma. Why do you sound upset? I'm not upset. You look upset. Emma crossed her arms tightly. You never mentioned her before. I laughed under my breath. You never mentioned Jason before. Jason shifted awkwardly beside her. For once his confidence disappeared. Emma stared at me for several long seconds. So this is why you ignore my texts? No. I ignored your texts because I needed space. Lily looked between us carefully. Should I leave? No. I answered instantly. Emma's face tightened after hearing that single word. Then she quietly asked something that completely shocked me. Are you replacing me already? I opened my mouth to answer her. Emma stood beside our table, staring at me like she caught me cheating on her. Why are you on a date? Her voice sounded sharp enough to cut through the entire restaurant. I blinked slowly. What? You heard me. Jason looked uncomfortable beside her, while Lily quietly glanced between us. I leaned back in my chair. Why does it matter? Emma crossed her arms. You never told me you were seeing someone. I almost laughed again because the hypocrisy felt unreal. You never told me about Jason. That is different. Ow! She opened her mouth, then stopped immediately. Because there was no answer. Lily gently placed her glass down. Maybe I should give you two a minute. You do not have to leave. I said quickly. Emma looked at me again after hearing that. Lily stood anyway and gave me a small, reassuring smile. It is okay. I will be near the counter. The second she walked away, silence crashed onto the table. Jason rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. Emma, maybe we should go. No. He looked surprised. Emma. I said no. I stared at her carefully. She genuinely looked upset. Not annoyed. Not irritated. Hurt. And somehow that made me even angrier. I folded my arms. What exactly are you trying to do right now? Emma looked down for a second before speaking quietly. I did not expect this. This being, you moving on already. I stared at her in disbelief. Moving on from what exactly? We were never together, remember? Her face tightened instantly after hearing her own words repeated back at her. Do not do that. Do what? Act like I meant nothing to you. I leaned forward slowly. Emma, you literally introduced another guy as your boyfriend 3 days ago. I know. Then why are we even having this conversation? Jason shifted beside her again. Emma, seriously, maybe this is not the place. She ignored him completely. That hurt more than I expected too, because suddenly I realized she barely noticed him while talking to me. Emma looked directly into my eyes. Seeing you here with another girl feels weird. Weird? Yes. Why? I do not know. I shook my head slowly. No. You do know. She stayed silent. I continued anyway. For almost 2 years, I gave you everything. My time, my attention, my loyalty. Every single day. Emma whispered my name softly, but I kept going. You called me whenever you were sad, whenever you felt lonely, whenever you needed someone. Because you mattered to me. Did I? Yes. Enough to date me? Her lips parted slightly, but no words came out. That silence answered everything. Jason finally spoke carefully. I think I should wait outside. Emma barely nodded. The second he left, I felt even more exhausted. I rubbed my face slowly. Why are you doing this? I am confused. I let out a frustrated breath. No, you are uncomfortable. She frowned. That is not fair. It is exactly fair. Emma sat down across from me without asking. You cannot just replace me this fast. I stared at her. Replace. Like I existed only to stay emotionally available forever. You had a boyfriend before I even had dinner with another girl. Her voice became quieter. I know. Then explain this to me because honestly I am tired. Emma looked away toward the restaurant windows. I thought you would still be there. The words hit me harder than I expected. Still where? With me. I laughed bitterly. You mean waiting around while you dated someone else? No, but that is exactly what you mean. She looked emotional now. You are making me sound horrible. I leaned closer. Then stop acting horrible. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then Emma whispered something that almost broke me again. I never wanted to lose you. I swallowed hard, because part of me still loved hearing that. But another part finally understood something important. She never said she loved me, only that she did not want to lose me. Those were not the same thing. Lily returned quietly a few minutes later. She immediately sensed the tension again. Emma stood up quickly. I should go. I nodded once. Probably. She looked like she wanted to say more. Instead, she turned and walked toward the exit. Jason stood near the door waiting for her. He glanced at me once before leaving with her silently. The restaurant suddenly felt calmer after they disappeared. Lily sat back down carefully. You okay? I stared down at the table. Honestly, I have no idea. She studied me for a moment. She looked jealous. That makes no sense. Human emotions usually do not. I sighed heavily. I spent years thinking she cared about me the same way I cared about her. And now, I think maybe she just liked having me around. Lily stayed quiet, letting me think. Then she asked softly, do you still want her? That question stayed in my head for several seconds. Did I? I remembered all the late-night calls, the inside jokes, the way my entire mood depended on her texts. But I also remember the post, finally official, and the way she never warned me beforehand. I looked at Lily slowly. I did not know anymore. She smiled gently. That is probably healthier than pretending you do. After dinner, we walked outside together under the cold night air. Lily shoved her hands into her jacket pockets. For the record, I did not invite you out to create drama. I laughed quietly. I figured. I just thought you looked sad at work. Was I that obvious too? Very. We walked silently for a minute before she spoke again. You know something? What? You never seem relaxed when you talk about Emma. That caught me off guard. What do you mean? You always sound nervous, like you're trying to earn something from her. I frowned slightly because she was right. Lily shrugged. People should not make you feel like you constantly need to prove your worth. Her words stayed with me long after we said goodbye. Later that night, Noah called me immediately after hearing what happened. She seriously got upset seeing you with Lily? Yep. He groaned loudly. Bro, Emma liked being loved by you more than she actually loved you back. I stayed quiet because hearing it out loud hurt badly. Noah continued anyway. You gave her emotional security, attention, validation. Of course she misses that. So what am I supposed to do now? You stop chasing someone who only notices your value when somebody else might take you away. After the call ended, I lay awake staring at my ceiling again. But this time, over the next few weeks, campus gossip turned brutal. Every other day, somebody mentioned Jason flirting with another girl at some party. Sometimes it was different names, different screenshots, different rumors. At first, I ignored all of it. Then one afternoon, Noah dropped into the chair beside me during lunch and tossed his phone onto the table. Look, I glanced down reluctantly. Jason stood in some crowded club with his arm around another girl while Emma stood nowhere in sight. I pushed the phone back immediately. I do not care. That sounded fake. I sighed. Okay, maybe I care a little. Noah leaned forward. Do not fall for it. Fall for what? The moment her relationship crashes, she is going to come running back to you emotionally. I stayed quiet because part of me already knew he was right. That same night, Emma texted me at almost midnight. Can I call you? I stared at the message for a long time before replying. What happened? Nothing. I just miss talking to you. My chest tightened slightly. Omi would have answered immediately. Instead, I waited several minutes. I am tired tonight. Her typing bubble appeared instantly. You never used to ignore me. That message annoyed me more than it should have, because she still sounded like my attention belonged to her automatically. I locked my phone without answering. The next day, Lily noticed my mood immediately while we worked together during break. You look conflicted. I smirked faintly. You always say things like a therapist. Occupational talent. You work at a clothing store. She laughed softly. Same thing, honestly. I told her about Emma texting me again. Lily listened carefully without interrupting. When I finished, she asked quietly, what do you want from her now? I honestly do not know anymore. That is probably progress. I looked at her curiously. Why? Because before you only cared about what she wanted. That hit harder than expected. Lily handed me a coffee. You spent so much time proving your value to someone that you forgot relationships are supposed to go both ways. I stared down at the cup silently. She was right again. The strange thing was Lily never tried forcing emotional conversations out of me. She never demanded attention constantly, never made me feel guilty for needing space. Being around her felt easy, calm, and honestly that scared me a little because I realized how exhausting loving Emma had always been. A few days later, Emma cornered me outside class. "Why have you been avoiding me?" I adjusted my backpack slowly. "I have been busy." "That is not true. Why does it matter?" Her expression fell slightly. "Because I miss my best friend." There was again. Best friend. Not boyfriend. Not someone she loved. Just the person who stayed available whenever she needed comfort. Emma stepped closer. "Can we hang out after class?" Before I could answer, Jason suddenly appeared beside her. He barely looked at me. "Babe, hurry up. We are late." Emma looked annoyed instantly. "Give me a second." Jason rolled his eyes. "You always do this." I noticed the tension immediately. Emma crossed her arms. "Do what?" "Prioritize everybody else over me." I almost laughed at the irony. Jason finally glanced toward me. "You still hanging around?" Emma snapped at him quickly. "Stop." He raised his hands carelessly. "Relax." I was joking, but his tone clearly was not joking. Emma looked embarrassed now. I stepped back slightly. "You should go." She looked at me like she wanted me to stay, but for the first time I did not. That night, Noah and I sat outside my apartment, eating cheap takeout. "So how bad are they doing?" I asked. Noah snorted. "Terribly. Jason keeps embarrassing her publicly." I picked at my food quietly. "You know the sad part?" Noah continued. "Emma probably thought dating the popular guy would finally make her feel important. Maybe. But guys like Jason love attention more than people." I thought about that for a moment. Then I realized something uncomfortable. Emma always loved attention too. Not in the loud, dramatic way Jason did. But she loved being wanted. Loved knowing somebody would always choose her. And I gave her that certainty for years. The following weekend, campus hosted a huge outdoor event with music, food, and stupid games everywhere. Noah dragged me there against my will while Lily met us later after work. The place was crowded and loud. Unfortunately, Emma and Jason were there too. I noticed them near the drink tables arguing almost immediately. Jason looked irritated while Emma looked exhausted. Noah leaned toward me. "Told you." I tried focusing somewhere else until Lily arrived beside me, smiling warmly. "Please tell me there is food." "Somewhere probably." She laughed and linked her arm lightly through mine while we walked through the crowd. And right then, I saw Emma staring at us from across the field. Her expression changed instantly. Jason noticed too. He smirked carelessly and turned toward a group of girls nearby. Within minutes, he started flirting openly with one of them right in front of Emma. Even from far away, I could see her face fall. Lily noticed my attention drifting. "You okay?" Before I could answer, Emma suddenly walked toward us alone. Her eyes looked watery already. "I need to talk to you." Lily glanced at me. "I can give you a minute." Emma shook her head quickly. "No. Stay." That surprised both of us. I folded my arms slowly. "What happened?" Emma laughed bitterly while glancing toward Jason. Exactly what everybody warned me would happen. I followed her gaze. Jason now had his phone out asking some girl for her number without shame. Emma looked down. I thought dating him would make me happy. I waited for the pain to hit me again. But strangely, it barely did. Because deep down, I already accepted the truth weeks ago. She chose excitement over sincerity. Attention over connection. Fantasy over loyalty. Emma looked back at me quietly. "You probably think I deserve this." "I do not." "Then why do you sound so distant?" I took a slow breath. "Because I cannot keep being the person you run to every time somebody else hurts you." Her eyes filled immediately. "I never meant to hurt you." "I know, and I do care about you." She stared at me silently. Then Noah suddenly appeared beside us, like perfect timing from the universe itself. He looked directly at me first. "Do not become her emotional backup again." Emma flinched hearing that. But Noah was right. For the first time in years, I finally understood something important. Moving on was never about punishing Emma. It was about finally believing I deserved someone who chose me without hesitation. By the time winter arrived, everybody on campus already knew Emma and Jason were over. The breakup was messy, public, humiliating. More screenshots appeared online showing Jason flirting with different girls behind Emma's back during almost their entire relationship. At one party, he even kissed another girl while Emma stood in the same room. After that, everything collapsed completely. I expected to feel satisfied. Instead, I mostly felt tired. One evening while I was finishing homework, my phone buzzed softly beside me. "Emma, can we talk somewhere private?" I stared at the message quietly. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Another part already knew this conversation had been coming for months. After several minutes, I replied, "Okay." She chose the small coffee shop near campus where we first met during freshman year. The same place where we spent countless afternoons studying together and pretending we were just friends. Rain poured heavily outside when I arrived. Emma already sat near the window, holding a cup with both hands. The second she saw me, her expression softened painfully. Hey. I sat across from her quietly. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. The silence felt heavier than the rain outside. Finally, Emma looked down at her coffee. "Jason cheated again." I nodded once. "I heard." She laughed weakly. Of course, everybody heard. I stayed quiet. Emma rubbed her eyes tiredly. I kept trying to convince myself things would get better, but they did not. No. The cafe lights reflected softly against the window beside her. For the first time in months, she looked emotionally exhausted instead of defensive. Almost fragile. She took a slow breath. "I owe you an apology." I looked at her carefully, but said nothing. Emma continued anyway. "I treated you unfairly for a long time." Her voice shook slightly now. "I kept taking your attention and support while refusing to fully choose you myself." Hearing her finally admit it out loud hurt more gently than I expected, like reopening an old wound that already started healing. Emma swallowed hard. "And when you stopped giving me that attention, I panicked." I leaned back, quietly listening. "You want to know the worst part?" she asked softly. I nodded once. "I genuinely thought you would always stay." Those words again. Except this time, they sounded sad instead of entitled. Emma looked directly at me. "Seeing you with Lily made me realize how selfish I had been." Outside, thunder echoed faintly through the rain. I folded my hands together slowly. "What?" "Because you looked happy." Her eyes filled slightly, and I realized I had never actually protected your happiness before. I only protected my own comfort. For a moment, neither of us spoke again. Then she whispered something that almost broke my heart. I think I finally understood what I lost after it was already gone. I closed my eyes briefly. Part of me still cared about her deeply. That truth never disappeared completely. Emma was woven into years of my life. My routines, my emotions, my memories. But caring about someone did not automatically mean staying trapped beside them forever. I looked back at her calmly. "I loved you for a long time." Tears gathered in her eyes immediately. "I know, and honestly, I probably would have done anything for you back then." Her lips trembled slightly. "But love without clarity only creates pain." Emma looked down instantly after hearing that. "I know. You kept me emotionally close while searching for something else everywhere else." She wiped her eyes quickly. "I was scared." "Of what?" "Making the wrong choice." I nodded slowly. "And in the process, you made no choice at all." That silence afterward felt painfully honest. Emma finally started crying softly. Not dramatically, not manipulatively, just quietly. "I never wanted to hurt you. I believe you." "Then why does this still feel like goodbye?" "Because it was." I looked around the cafe, slowly remembering old conversations and old feelings that once meant everything to me. Then I looked back at her one last time. Because I cannot stay emotionally trapped inside a version of us that never truly existed. Emma covered her mouth as tears slipped down her face. That almost shattered me too. But deep down, I already knew this ending was necessary. Not cruel, necessary. She forced herself to speak again through shaky breaths. "Do you love Lily?" The question caught me off guard. I thought about it honestly before answering. "I think I feel peaceful around her." Emma smiled sadly through tears. "You never looked peaceful around me." That hurt because it was true. Loving Emma always felt intense, uncertain, emotional. Loving Lily felt safe, and maybe real love was supposed to feel safer than suffering. Emma stood slowly from her chair. I wish I understood all this sooner. I stood too. Maybe we both needed to learn it this way. She nodded weakly. Will we ever be friends again? I hesitated, then answered honestly. I do not know. That answer clearly hurt her, but she accepted it quietly. For a second, she looked like she wanted to hug me. Instead, she whispered goodbye. I swallowed hard. Goodbye, Emma. Then I walked toward the cafe exit before I could change my mind. Cold rain immediately hit my face the second I stepped outside. But before I could open my jacket hood, somebody moved beside me holding an umbrella overhead. Lily. I stared at her in surprise. How long have you been here? She smiled softly. Long enough. You waited outside in the rain? I figured this conversation might hurt. Something inside my chest tightened painfully. Not because of Emma anymore. Because nobody had ever cared about my feelings this gently before. Lily studied my expression carefully. You okay? I looked back through the cafe window one final time. Emma still sat alone at the table, wiping tears from her face. For years, I thought loving someone meant enduring confusion and emotional exhaustion endlessly. But standing beside Lily finally made the difference painfully obvious. Emma loved receiving my attention when it felt good for her. Lily cared about me even when things became difficult. I stepped closer beneath the umbrella beside her. Then, quietly, I answered the question I had avoided for months. Yeah, for the first time in years, I actually